What's going on, YouTube fam? I'm Ary and I'm your multilingual bestie. So, June. It's June right now, but it probably won't be June by the time this goes up. And June here in Canada is not only Pride Month, and I think Men's Mental Health is now June if I'm not mistaken, and it's also Italian Heritage Month. I'm part Italian. I actually found out last year through a 23andMe test that I'm approximately 25.2% Italian. And I always knew that I was at least like a quarter Italian. I mean, my grandfather on my dad's side is fully Italian. My dad is half because he has a parent that is not Italian. And then there's me. So I always assumed that, genetically it splits that way, but I'm not gonna go into detail with that. But apparently that's not always how it goes. So I'm really happy. I get at least 25%. So yes. And I think what makes the Italian part of me very strong is the food, because in my grandparents' house, it was almost an Italian household. The only difference is that we would not speak Italian. In fact, my grandfather never learned to speak Italian, but I'm gonna go into that into a future video because I am narcissistically making the Italian Heritage Month about me on my channel. So I usually, for these monthly videos, interview a guest of a certain heritage or a certain culture, but this month it's me talking about my heritage and my part of my heritage at least, and discovering this really cool local Calabrian restaurant, because my part of my family is from Calabria, Italy. And it's so cool because I didn't even realize that once I picked this restaurant, I didn't even realize that it was a Calabrian specifically until the morning of. So like, such an amazing coincidence. Other coincidence that happened that day is that our server, she was the owner's daughter. Her name is Venezia. Don't know if I'm saying that right, but she told me that her name is essentially Venice, right? I went to Venice like a month prior to going to that restaurant, right? And yeah, so I want to talk about that for a second. So cool. Anyways, this restaurant is called Trattoria Taverniti. It was so fucking good. And the spaghetti did remind me of what I grew up eating with my grandparents. So shout out to my grandma if she's watching this, because although my grandma wasn't Italian, she did learn to cook a lot of Italian dishes thanks to the influence of my grandfather and his parents. So, okay, where are we at? There's a phone call coming on my phone, and so I'm just gonna ignore it because filming this is way more important, and I think this is a spam call. Yeah, be aware of spam calls. So, okay, so I don't speak Italian, which is very embarrassing. None of my immediate family speaks it, and that's because my grandfather grew up with Italian parents in Montreal. So actually his mom, although being fully Italian, was born in Canada, and his dad is the one who came from Italy during the First World War as a teenager, I believe. But yeah, so my grandfather didn't grow up speaking Italian, but he would hear it from his parents, but they didn't make a point to actually teach it to their kids as they grew up. So he grew up speaking English and French, which is kind of cool because he grew up in, I think, the Montreal area. But yeah, no Italian. But he would often watch Italian TV. I think I'm going in too much detail because I am going to be talking about that in my interview. I feel kind of bad to focus on myself, but I kind of love it at the same time because I felt a certain way visiting Italy because, I'm not a very young person and I had never been to Italy before. And I went because I had the opportunity to go to one of my friend's weddings, which was down in South Africa. And I have a friend, one of my childhood friends who lives in Austria. She's from Germany, but she lives in Austria. So we were like, we gotta meet up, we gotta make it work. So we met up in Austria and we spent some time in Italy, 2 days together. And I felt so lucky to be there. I remember at nighttime going to bed, kind of like processing the day, being like, isn't it crazy that I'm finally in the land of my ancestors? Like, I'm not even in Calabria or anything, but it felt really cool to be in Italy, and I never felt like anyone else in the world had, not my personality, but like, okay, sometimes in life you might meet a person that has a very similar personality to you and you're like, oh my God, like, you kind of love it and you vibe with them and it's fun. But when I was roaming the streets of Venice, I felt like every single vendor or person that came up to us to say, hey, come to our restaurant, I just felt like they were my family. And I'm probably biased because all this time I'm like, oh my God, I'm in Italy, this is where I come from. But I don't know, their general their general openness and warmth that I felt visiting Venice and the people of Venice, I don't know, I just really resonated with that, and it felt very similar to myself. It's a very interesting feeling, and if you felt something like this, let me know. Very different than what I felt in Chennai. Even though in Chennai I felt welcomed, I felt very connected to the people over there. I felt like, you know, I felt like they accepted me for my weirdness and just all my quirks, and I made friends there easily. But in Italy, I just felt like the people were similar to me. Not just looks wise, just like personality, you know what I mean? So yeah, very interesting, very hard to explain. So I hope this makes sense. What else do I want to talk about? So yeah, so stay tuned for an interview with me about my Italian heritage and how Italian culture has affected me in my childhood up until now. And one day I want to speak Italian. Oh, one thing I thought was cool is that when I was in Italy reading signs and whatnot, so similar to French. Like, I feel like I could pick it up in like a month, but that's just me being cocky and thinking, oh, I can learn Italian whenever I want, and then I don't, you know? So that's just me like taking it for granted and thinking that I can just do it. One day I will. Right now we're focusing on Tamil, and I really think that I'm an upper A1 level right now, if we think in terms of the, what's it called, the CEFR system, or the international thing that's like A, B, C, you know. Spending a lot of time watching polyglot videos these days, so I'm a little more versed in the vocabulary that polyglots use for talking about languages. So, what else do I want to talk about? Yeah, stay tuned for that interview. Stay tuned for the food that we're going to be showing and eating in that video. My friend has graciously offered to interview me in that video, so you might see him as well. And so yeah, he's been a really good sport. And then I'm gonna be singing a song. I'm gonna be singing a really good song. I'll tell you by who it is, whatever, I'll just spoil it. So Giorgia, right? Known as the Mariah Carey of Italy. She's unique. Honestly, I feel like her voice is a little bit different than Mariah Carey, but the fact that she has such a strong, or no, was she, wait, what do they call her? The Italian Whitney Houston? Let me not mess this up. Nicknamed the Italian Whitney Houston. This is as per Wikipedia. Sorry, Mariah Carey. Sorry, very different vibe. Or are they? Either way, I love them both. Mariah Carey, Ariana Grande, Celine Dion, you know, Whitney Houston, Christina Aguilera. To me, those are the most powerful vocalists in the world. And probably Demi Lovato too. If I'm missing any, let me know. But vocal goals wise, these people and Giorgia, now that I know about her, so I'm gonna be singing one of her songs, because how can I not? Like, I always have such high ambition for my vocal capabilities, and linguistic ones. And singing in Italian was easy, but not too easy. Like, I never sang Italian pop before, but I have sung Italian classical songs, Italian opera, actually, even on my channel a long time ago. So yeah, Giorgia, amazing voice, probably my favorite Italian artist so far. I found some other pop artists that were also really good. Yeah, she's my fave. And another interesting fact, maybe I already talked about this in the interview, but everywhere I went in Italy, I loved the music that I would hear. Like, the Euro pop sound of everything is something that's very me. I'm very synth pop-y. I love electronic sounding music, stuff that you would hear at a club. I think I'm very influenced by, you know, the early 2010s era. You know, that was like peak teenagehood for me. So I enjoyed all the music I heard there. Obviously, I enjoyed the food. It was like, oh my God. In Italy, I think I figured out why the food is different and why it is better and more authentic over there rather than here. Obviously, that's the case for any country you visit, but I do go into detail as to why I think that is in the interview. So that was it for the introduction to Italian Heritage Month on your Multilingual Besties YouTube channel. I hope that you enjoy this series. Every single month, I try to cover a culture or a country. And yeah, I'm very proud to be a quarter or so Italian. I think it, you know, resonates with what I like, you know, culinarily, musically, linguistically. Although I don't speak any Italian, I feel like I like the Italian language and I do want to keep it on my bucket list. And music, and okay, so yeah, I need to visit more parts of Italy. I need to figure out what Calabria looks like in person, how it feels. Actually, I met a girl from Calabria once. She actually was one of my coworkers, and turns out she may actually be from a city very close to my ancestors. Okay, it's so awkward to try to figure out how to end a video, but yeah, bye and stuff. Oh yeah, here's the Italy sticker. I put the sticker on, so this is what the map looks like. It has, yay, stickers. Oh, you didn't see that one? I wasn't supposed to reveal that. That's for the future, huh? Okay, bye.